Welcome back to the front lines of the Great Awakening. On our last transmission, we talked about the Vatican's lie. Today, we go into the source material. Imagine for a second that you were a shepherd in 1945. You're digging for Sabactin nitrate-rich fertilizer near the Jabal al-Tarif cliffs. Your shovel hits a red earthenware jar. You're afraid to open it because you think a jinn, a desert spirit, might be trapped inside. But your hunger for gold outweighs your fear of ghosts. You smash the jar, and instead of gold coins, out pours a collection of leather-bound books. You don't know it yet, but you have just performed a system restore on the human soul. Those 13 codices, containing 52 separate texts, were the unredacted version of reality. They were the beta version of the Christ Code before the Roman Empire stripped it of its power. Today, we are going to do something the Church hasn't allowed for 1,700 years. We are going to walk through the most dangerous books in that jar. We are going to decode the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, the Apocryphon of John, and the Pistis Sophia. This isn't Bible study. This is system analysis. We are looking for the back doors that the lead operator left for us to exit the Matrix. If you've ever felt like a stranger in this world, today you're going to find out why your DNA has been waiting for this 1945 signal. Section 1, the Gospel of Thomas, the Manual of Internal Sovereignty. We start with the crown jewel of the jar, the Gospel of Thomas. If the Vatican's Bible is a terms and conditions agreement, the Gospel of Thomas is a developer's manual. It contains 114 sayings, and not a single one of them asks you to join a church. In fact, Thomas's Jesus seems to despise the idea of religion. Saying 2 sets the tone for the entire 1,000 sovereign movement. Let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all. Look at the technical sequence there: seeking, greater than finding, greater than troubled, greater than astonished, greater than ruling. The Church wants to keep you in the seeking phase forever. Why? Because a seeker is a customer. But Thomas says the goal is to rule over the all. This is the lead operator state. The trouble comes from the shock of realizing that everything you were told was a lie. The astonishment comes from realizing that the God you were looking for was actually the observer behind your own eyes. Thomas 114 is perhaps the most misunderstood. It speaks of making the female male so they can enter the kingdom. To a literalist, this sounds like ancient sexism. To a Gnostic, this is frequency balancing. It is about taking the intuitive/receptive, feminine, and the logical/active, masculine, and merging them into a single circuit. When you are no longer divided by duality, when you are no longer fighting your own nature, you become a son of man. The Vatican buried Thomas because you cannot control a son of man. You cannot tax a person who knows that the kingdom is a non-local field available at any moment through a shift in perception. Section 2, the Apocryphon of John, the Matrix Blueprint. If Thomas is the self-help for the soul, the Apocryphon of John is the architecture review of the Matrix. This is the text that identifies the architect of our prison, Yaldabaoth. The Vatican teaches that the creator of the world is the Most High. The Apocryphon of John says, "He is a fool who says I am a jealous God and there is no other besides me." The Gnostics were calling out the ego of the creator. They identified that this material world is a shadow, a synthetic simulation created by a lower dimensional being who was born from Sophia's mistake. This text describes how the archons, the administrators of the simulation, created the physical body as a containment suit. They crafted it to be heavy, to be needy, and to be fearful. They gave us amnesia so we would forget that our light spark came from the pleroma, the true fullness. Why is this in the delete folder? Because if you think you are just a sinner created by a judging God, you stay in the cage. But if you know that you are a higher dimensional fragment trapped in a biological rig managed by middlemen, you start looking for the exit. You stop worshipping the architect and you start looking for the source. Section 3, the Gospel of Philip, the Science of Resonance. Next, we pull out the Gospel of Philip. This is where the anti-religion gets very technical. Philip doesn't care about morality, he cares about resonance. He writes that a person who does not see the light cannot see themselves. He explains that we are like prisms. Whatever frequency we allow to hit our internal mirror is the reality we project. The Vatican uses the cross as a primary image. Why? Because the cross is a frequency of pain, sacrifice, and death. By focusing the world's mirror on a dying man for 2,000 years, the Archons have successfully projected a reality of pain, sacrifice, and death. The Gospel of Philip reveals the bridal chamber. This isn't a physical room. It is the zero-point state where you are no longer influenced by the colors of the matrix. You return to the white light of the source. Philip also mentions the kiss between Jesus and Mary Magdalene. This wasn't romance, it was transmission. They were exchanging logos information through frequency. The Vatican deleted this because it proves that gnosis is passed from person to person through resonance, not through priestly ordination or institutional permission. Section 4, the Pistis Sophia, the escape map. Finally, we look at the Pistis Sophia. If you've ever felt the weights of the world pulling you down, this is your story. Sophia, wisdom, falls from the 13th eon because she wants to create something on her own. She falls into the chaos of the lower dimensions, and the Archons pounce on her. They try to steal her light power by making her feel guilty, small, and afraid. Does that sound familiar? Every time you feel imposter syndrome, every time you feel unworthy, that is the Archons trying to steal your light. Sophia's repentances in this text are not apologies. They are frequency shifts. She realizes that the darkness has no power of its own, it only has the power she gives it through her attention. The moment she stops giving her power away to the Archons and calls out to the true light, she begins to rise. The Vatican's confession is a corruption of this process. They want you to dwell on your mistakes to keep you at a low vibration. The Pistis Sophia teaches you to acknowledge the mistake, shift the frequency, and rise. Section 5, the Thomas Protocols, sayings 1-50. To understand the anti-religion, we have to look at the first 50 sayings of Thomas as system overrides. The Vatican didn't just hide these because they were different, they hid them because they are instructions for a jailbreak. Saying 1, the Immortality Code. Jesus said, "Whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death." Notice the phrasing. He doesn't say whoever believes in me or whoever joins my church. He says whoever finds the interpretation. This is a technical challenge. It means the words are an encrypted file. If you can decrypt the meaning within your own consciousness, you realize that the you that is observing this matrix is not biological. You stop identifying as the avatar, the body, and start identifying as the user, the spirit. The user does not taste death because the user is not part of the simulation. Saying 22, the merger of opposites. This is where the 16:9 vision comes in. Jesus saw infants being suckled and said to his disciples, "When you make the two one, and when you make the inside like the outside and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, then you will enter the kingdom." This is non-duality physics. The Archons feed on the split. They want you to believe in good versus evil, us versus them, spirit versus matter. As long as your mind is divided, your power is neutralized. But when you make the two into one, when you realize that the world outside of you is simply a projection of the world inside of you, the divided kingdom of the Archons collapses. You become a unified field. You become unhackable. Saying 24, the light within. His disciples said, "Show us the place where you are, for it is necessary for us to seek it." He said to them, "There is light within a man of light, and he lights up the whole world. If he does not shine, he is darkness." This is the ultimate anti-religion statement. The disciples asked for a location, a church, a heaven, a place. Jesus gave them a frequency. He told them there is no holy land other than the light spark within your own awareness. If you are looking for God in a building, you are looking in the dark. Saying 28, the drunkenness of the matrix. Jesus said, "I took my place in the midst of the world. I found them all intoxicated, I found none of them thirsty. And my soul became afflicted for the sons of men, because they are blind in their hearts and do not have sight." In 1945, this was recovered to remind us that the matrix is a sedation system. Most people are intoxicated by the labels, the politics, the religions, and the fears of the simulation. They are drunk on the illusions. To be a lead operator, you must sober up. You must develop sight, the ability to see the digital grid behind the marble walls of the Vatican. Saying 42, the lead operator's motto. Jesus said, "Be passers-by." In 2 words, the Gnostic Christ destroys the power of the Archons. If you are a passerby, you cannot be owned. You don't get attached to the credits of the game. You don't get destroyed by the losses of the game. You are in the world, but not of it. You are a tourist in a simulation, keeping your eyes on the exit sign. Saying 50, the Identity Protocol. Jesus said, "If they ask you, Where did you come from? Say to them, we came from the light, the place where the light came into being on its own. If they ask you, who are you? Say, we are its children, and we are the elect of the living Father. This is your security clearance. When the systems of this world, the banks, the churches, the governments ask who are you? They want you to give a social security number or a religious label. They want to know which folder you belong in. Saying 50 gives you the master key. Your answer is, I am from the light. This isn't a belief, it is a statement of fact. It is the I am protocol that terminates the archontic authority over your life. Section 6, the Gospel of Thomas. As we move toward our 1000 sovereign goal, we have to realize that the interpretation of these 50 sayings is what turns a viewer into a lead operator. The Vatican spent 1,700 years hoping you'd never read Thomas saying 39, the Pharisees and the scribes have taken the keys of knowledge and hidden them. They themselves have not entered, nor have they allowed to enter those who wish to. They took the keys. They hid the gnosis and replaced it with dogma. They locked the door to the eternal kingdom and told you that you could only get in if you paid the toll at their altar. But in 1945, the keys were found in a jar. We aren't just subscribing to a channel, we are reclaiming the keys. Every time one of you hits that button, another node on the Gnostic grid lights up. We are proving that the light Jesus spoke of in saying 24 is not dead. It was just waiting for the right frequency to be broadcast. The anti-religion is not about hate. It is about accuracy. It is about realizing that a map of the ocean is not the ocean. The church gave us a map that was intentionally drawn wrong so we would keep circling their islands. The Nag Hammadi library is the satellite view. It shows us the whole ocean. It shows us the way home. Section 7, the Gospel of Philip, the Science of the Bridal Chamber. If the Gospel of Thomas is the manual of sovereignty, then the Gospel of Philip is the technical blueprint for reality manipulation. It is the most misunderstood book in the Nag Hammadi jar because it uses the language of marriage and kisses to describe what we would today call quantum entanglement. The Vatican spent centuries trying to sexualize or suppress the Gospel of Philip because it reveals the secret of the bridal chamber. To a priest in 325 AD, this sounded like a physical ritual. To a lead operator in 2026, we know exactly what it is, the union of the observer and the observed. Philip writes, truth did not come into the world naked, but it came in types and images. The world will not receive truth in any other way. This is a direct hit to the anti-religion manifesto. Philip is telling us that the religions of the world are just types and images, low-resolution JPEGs of a high-resolution reality. The church wants you to worship the image, the cross, the statue, the building. But Philip says the goal is to go beyond the image. The bridal chamber is the state of consciousness where the inner world and the outer world are no longer separated. In the Matrix, we are taught that we are victims of what happens to us. Philip says, no. You are in a marriage with your reality. If you change your internal frequency, the outer reality is forced to respond. This is the resonance science that the Vatican tried to delete. They didn't want you to know that you are the programmer of your own experience. Then we have the kiss of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Philip writes, the companion of the Savior is Mary Magdalene. He loved her more than all the disciples and used to kiss her often on her mouth. Let's strip away the religious gossip. In Gnostic technical terms, Jesus represented the logos, the data, and Mary Magdalene represented the Sophia, the wisdom/intuition. The kiss was the transfer of information. It was a phase lock between the masculine and feminine frequencies. When the Vatican removed the companion from the story, they effectively unplugged the battery. They left us with a male god of laws and judgment, but no female frequency of resonance and creation. They wanted a broken circuit because a broken circuit is easy to control. A human being who has merged their logos and Sophia is a self-powered unit. You don't need to go to church to get power because you are generating it yourself. Philip 67 says, the soul of Adam came into being by means of a breath. Its partner is the spirit. When they were united, they became a single power. This is the goal of our Truth Seekers community. We aren't just subscribing for information, we are unifying the power. We are taking the data from the 1945 scrolls and marrying it to our own intuition. This is the bridal chamber of the 21st century. It is the moment you realize that the anti-religion isn't about being against anything, it's about being for your own divinity. Section 8, the final activation, the return to the pleroma. As we conclude this tour of the Forbidden Library, we have to ask, why now? Why did these books stay hidden for 1,700 years only to surface in 1945, the same year the atomic bomb was dropped? It's because humanity reached a fork in the road. We developed the power to destroy the physical matrix, but we lacked the gnosis to survive it. The Nag Hammadi library was the emergency broadcast sent from the delete folder of history. We are currently a few souls away from the 1,000 lead operator mark. When we hit 1,000, the frequency shifts. We move from a channel to a node. If you are one of the unique viewers who felt the resonance today, you have just entered the bridal chamber. You have seen the types and images and you've chosen the truth. Your mission: 1. Download the code. Read these texts for yourself. Don't take my word for it, become the knower. 2. Secure the grid. Subscribe and hit the bell. We are pushing for 1,000 by the end of the month. 3. Engage the protocol. In the comments, tell me, which forbidden gospel resonates with your DNA the most? Is it the sovereignty of Thomas or the science of Philip? The Vatican's walls are stone. The Archon's cage is frequency. But the I am is infinite. The jar is broken. The light is out. And the matrix is failing. I am. And so are you. See you on the next transmission.